Good morning. Ang topic natin today is plagiarism. To some extent, medyo na-tackle na natin to on the topic of citation as well as on the topic of digital ethics. And medyo nag-advance tayo nung time na yon, nung last nating discussion na supposed to be is a finals pa siya. Plagiarism is an important topic. For one, this is your responsibility to the society to be uh, as good as possible and to respect also the um, the the intellectual property of other people. So these are our topic learning outcomes to model desirable behaviors in the use of social media. As we've seen in recent years, it's really important for people to have boundaries in everything they do. And whether you like it or not, or whether you realize it or not, social media has completely changed the way we do things, even the way we grieve, the way we show our emotions, the way we get our information, the way we influence the government are all on social media. Another course learning outcomes that we have to achieve in this particular topic is to adhere to protocols and principles of confidentiality in management of information, especially on the topic of health, which is mostly sensitive information. Lalo na kung mga infectious diseases yan. That's why makikita ninyo ngayon, yung uh, mga taong nagkaroon ng COVID-19, kailangan pa ng permission ng mga naapektuhan bago maipalabas yung kanilang pangalan or kanilang picture. Third is to discuss ethical, legal, and moral issues in health information technology. And largely, this is a form of introduction to hospital information system, which is the next topic of nursing informatics. And last is explain ways on how to avoid and check plagiarism. And we have means to check whether it's good or not. How to check whether original idea ba natin yon or hindi. On this, there are major universal principles when it comes to ethics, especially along health. And pwede rin natin itong i-apply sa ibang aspeto ng buhay. First is teleology, which is looking toward the ends produced by a course of action as the measure of determining actions' goodness, or the greatest good for the greatest number. One of the best example along this line is the quarantine. Pagka kinwarantin mo yung tao, you are actually doing good for the greatest number. Kasi despite the fact na ilalagay mo sa isang lugar yung isang tao, you are taking away his or her freedom, but you are protecting the greater people. Okay? The moment na nag-lockdown ng Metro Manila at hindi pa nagla-lockdown ng Visayas at hindi pa nagla-lockdown ang Mindanao, you are using the teleologic principle, which is the greatest good for the greatest number, kasi marami ring tao ang naninirahan sa Visayas. Hindi natin sila pwedeng i-infect. So that's teleology in the works. A second is deontology. What is right may not necessarily produce a good outcome. To some extent, ito yung mga liberal ideas. For example, the idea of euthanasia, okay, that is killing one person, especially persons in vegetable state or in comatose state for months or years. Okay, hindi magandang outcome kasi it's death. Okay, but would you like to prolong the agony of the person? So That's a deontologic principle. Another is relativism, which is a very controversial type of ethical perspective na nirerespeto mo yung paniniwala ng ibang tao. Okay? One good example is childhood marriage. Of course, to us, it's detestable for a 9-year-old to be married to a 40-year-old man, a 9-year-old girl to a 40-year-old man. But since it's their culture, it's their belief, okay, and it's relative to their belief, we are using relativistic principle. Another is virtue ethics, largely Confucianism. It introduces the character of the person as the important determiner of moral or ethical decision making. It's the whole person. So, yan. With this, why is this important to study? As we've seen in recent years, there are many politicians who are just copying the words of other people and then translating it to Tagalog as if naman na yung idea is hindi nagbago. So, one famous example is when Senate President Vicente Soto received a backlash by copying the speech of Robert Kennedy. Kasi ang tao ay may kanya-kanyang ideas. And you used your intellectual juice to produce that idea. So, may tinatawag tayong intellectual property or it refers to the creations of the mind such as inventions, literary and artistic works, designs and symbols, names and images. And one of the most famous example along this line is Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison. And it's believed that Thomas Edison, the greatest inventor of all time, Mr. Edison, copied many of the ideas, especially the AC/DC idea, from Nikola Tesla. So it's really important because it's going to haunt people for a very, very long time. And as a beginning scientist, you have to know and avoid all of this misconduct. For example, fabrication or making up data, falsification or manipulating research materials, and also copying ideas, which is very, very rampant in university setting, which is called plagiarism. One of the most consequential example of this is by the South Korean doctor, Dr. Woo Suk, who cloned stem cells from human embryo. Well, in fact, galing pala siya yung kanyang stem cell from an adult. And ang laki na naging backlash nito kasi umabot pa to the point na retract yung kanyang paper and hindi lang yun, nawalan pa siya ng academic career. Nag-iisa ba siya? According to Fanelli in 2009, almost 2% admitted they have researchers fabricated and falsified their findings. 33.7% has questionable research practices, and 14.12% claim that they see other people or other scientists falsifying their works. So, how do we avoid these misconducts, specifically plagiarism? And what is plagiarism to begin with? Plagiarism is turning in someone else's work as your own. Like as we've seen in recent years, na copy and paste. Copying words of ideas without giving due credit. That's why yung pinag-aralan natin previously na citation, it's really, really important. Failing to put a quotation in quotation marks, changing words but copying the sentence, okay? And copying so many words or ideas from a source that makes up the majority of your work. Because when you write, it has majority should be your original idea. But of course, meron tayong sinabi nga ni Isaac Newton na we are all standing in the shoulders of giants. But definitely, you have to contribute something unique to the science, to the work. Okay? Hindi lang puro kopya. There are different types of plagiarism, like verbatim, or copying other people's work, mosaic, mixing each other and then uh, um, uh, putting it together na wala ka man lang inintroduce na bago. Paraphrasing is also a form of plagiarism or restatement, especially when it loses the meat of the what the author is trying to say. Or sometimes, sinabi mo na dati, na-publish mo na, and then kinopya mo, which is called self-plagiarism. Okay? Or cyber-plagiarism or copying ideas from the internet without attribution. Lalo na yung mga tweets, status, okay? And image plagiarism, like nakuha ka sa Google image, hindi mo in-attribute. Kailangan i-attribute natin yon. How should we avoid that? First, you have to restate it based on your own understanding. Quote, kasi minsan, it was stated in a beautiful manner na uh, it's so beautiful to change. Okay, so just quote it, especially if it's 40 words and above. And use plagiarism checkers. Sa SLU, ang ginagamit natin is PlugScan. You may get your own PlugScan account on this. And the process is on red font. Aside from plug scan, you have Turnitin, plagiarism detector, authenticate, and of course, yung paborito natin na ginamit natin previously sa mga lab works natin, which is Grammarly. Ngayon, pagka nilagay nyo na yung paper ninyo sa plug scan, may mga levels yan. Pagka level 1, inadequate paraphrasing or referencing. Okay? Pag level 2, academic misconduct na yan, pati level 3. Paano ba natin nalalaman yon? Ang work dapat natin is 5% and below. Pagka 1%, mag-generate kasi ang plug scan ng percentage ng plagiarism. Pagka 1%, it means due to the low percentages, unlikely na plagiarize yung work mo. 1 to 5%, closer look at the document, report is recommended, pero acceptable pa yan sa SLU policies. But 5% and above, you need to check your work. For additional resources, please check on the last slide. Okay? So, first time kasi na gumamit din ako nito, kaya I'm still working on it. But rest assured that SLU wants to give you the best possible educational experience during this pandemic. Okay? And then more videos to come. Thank you, and please take good care of yourself.